stickers off all of our fruit. It's best just to do it right away. Whoever makes stickers for fruit companies, they must make a killing. I don't know if you've ever seen a case of lemons where every single lemon has a sticker on it. Some of them have two, and you're like, really? Really? Alright. Okay, and then this one, which kind of terrible. Now, first things first, how do you know when a pineapple is truly fresh? The color helps, and then the smell at the base. Okay, you gotta get in there. I don't know, but we can tell by the color, obviously not so much already. Now, has anybody been to the Dole Plantation in Hawaii? Okay, excellent, right? I have as well. They say that when you remove the pineapple, it already has the most sugar it's going to have. Like, it doesn't get sweeter as it sits, but it does get softer. That way the sugar intensifies on your palate, right? It's kind of like bananas. They don't technically get sweeter. The sugar just gets easier to digest. Make sense? Okay. So, now, we also need to kind of split these up accordingly. Does this oxidize? But it takes a long time, right? It takes a long time, but it will. So we're okay with that. Does avocado oxidize?
Yes.
Definitely. Does a lemon oxidize? No. They just dry. Do apples oxidize?
Yes.
For sure. What about mangoes? We know this is a mango, correct?
Yes.
This is a mango. This is also about the size of some of your hearts. Interesting, right? It's also a very similar shape. Think about it. I wish it was the size of my stomach. Okay? Does this oxidize? Yes. This oxidizes very, very quickly, actually. Okay, so that's why we gotta watch out for mango. What is this?
Papaya.
Does it oxidize? It does, but it's like a pineapple. It's real slow. So you see, we kind of split those up. So if I organize what I'm doing, I know what to work with first. Okay? I also know that these have a high amount of acid, which will inhibit the browning of these items. So if I cut them, leave them in a communal bowl, the acids from this will keep this from oxidizing as quickly. Okay? Have any of you done a lot of like apples for apple pie and then throw them in acidified water to hang out? What happens? They stay white, but then what happens? They start like falling apart, right? They start disintegrating. Too much acid will actually ruin our fruit, okay? A better option, salt. Put it in salt water. Salt will help it from oxidizing too. Plus we can get rid of salt pretty easily because it's already a sweet item, right? So instead of a ton of acid, just a little bit of acid, a little bit of salt, and you're good to go. Okay? So let's start with probably the least used, papaya. Okay, right down the middle. See all those beautiful seeds? Are the seeds edible? Are they edible? What do we think? They are definitely edible. In fact, papaya seeds are what they usually tell you to eat if you have a parasite. It's anti-parasitic. Will you grab me a spoon, Jessica Robin? In the box.
What does it do to the parasite?
No idea. I don't know. But it's a special type of seed. They have kind of a slight peppery flavor. Okay, I like to eat them all the time, and usually we use them as is. Right? You can roast them and stuff, but it's not necessary. You can dry them and grind them into a flour, and it's really nice. It's a little tricky to work with, and it's a really off color, but it is an option. Okay, so we just kind of scrape it out. This is a nice papaya too. A lot of times when you see a papaya, they're like really pink and starchy, or they're kind of like old and mealy. This one's still pretty fresh, very much like a cantaloupe. Right? Just like so. I also like to hold on to the seeds because in pastry, you will be responsible for tons of fruit plates in your career. Now, usually when you order a fruit plate, what do you get? Or usually when you see a fruit plate, what do you get? You get berries put in a bowl, maybe some watermelon that was cubed up, left over from brunch, and that's about it. Okay, it's really sad and pathetic. All right. When I was coming up, we had to serve fruit plates, and it was at a place where it was $100 for dinner, so there was no chance of just putting berries in a bowl. We had to do something to them. Okay. Just because it's a fruit plate doesn't mean it literally has to be fruit on a plate. Okay, you can take time to actually do something nice with it. All right. So our papaya. Okay, we just start cutting it off of there. Again, these are actually pretty great papayas. I like to cut the ends off, right? And then for me, it's easiest just to kind of go inside. but it's not uncommon at all to take a peeler and just peel it right off. Okay? But here's the thing with this. Just like with any other melon, this is, basically a melon. Just like any other melon, when people start breaking it down, they don't break it down enough. Okay? Remember when we were supreming our fruits? Okay? We went through a lot of procedure. It didn't take any time. You should never see any green, ever. Or any white, ever. You know when you bite into like watermelon or cantaloupe and it's really like nice and soft, and then you get to their like rind that somebody left on there and it's all crunchy and starchy, and you're like, Okay? Get it off of there. Get it off there. It should all be the same color before you serve it. Okay? Especially when all you gotta do is run a peeler over it. Super, super, super easy. Okay? Couldn't be simpler than that. Then we come through, we cut it, and we use it any way we want. Right? Now, you always need to know how it tastes before you go much further, especially since you're going to be making a vinaigrette. But remember, we don't eat off our cutting board, right? Okay, so we always got to store it somewhere. Take a bite of one piece. It's not like, I don't know. I still don't know. Let me find out. And then you're like just eating papaya nonstop, okay? We got to get to a place where like 2 or 3 bites at the absolute most is all you need, okay? So that's it. We're focused. Now there's going to be many of you doing this. You're going to be on teams, so try and make it nice. Alright, so papaya. A lot of times what you'll also see is people will serve things in natural cups. Okay, if that's your thing, that's fine. But make it to where I can eat it. Because if you leave all this on there, I can't eat the natural cup, right? So then it's not really useful. Okay. So, it's just one of those things. Now, let's go on with pineapple. There are 2 ways to do this. We'll grab me another pineapple, Jessica. There are 2 ways to do this. The most common one is you just come in, cut it like so, straight, right? Set this aside. Now, I'm going to tell you, thank you very much. I'm going to tell you right now, because I see this way too often, this is not garnish. Students are always like, Mom, what do you think? And I'm like, I think it's inedible and stupid. That's what I think. Okay? Can you eat this?
No.
Do we understand the concept of NFG? NFG stands for non-functional garnish. If it doesn't serve a purpose and it's not edible, why is it there? Get rid of it. Cherry stems tied in knots, orange seeds, all that stuff should not be on a plate, ever. Okay? Your garnish needs to be edible. Just like when you do a wedding cake. You have a whole bunch of inedible stuff, chances are good someone's going to eat it because they're stupid, or they're looking to sue you, and you're going to get in trouble. Right? All of your garnish should be edible. Alright, now, what you'll usually see is you'll see the same thing we do with our citrus, right? We just go around, we start peeling the outside off. Now, what are these little black spots called? They are called eyes. Eyes are what make your throat scratchy when you eat pineapple, unless of course you are allergic to citric acid, even in some small amount, and that might be part of it. My wife is allergic to citric acid and she eats pineapples like crazy. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Okay? But whatever. So, we gotta get all the eyes off of there. If you don't cut deep enough, come back through, cut again. But you notice I'm still trying to keep as much of the fruit as I can. Alright? Now, what I also see a lot of times when I go out for fruit is it's cut like this, right? Super sharp corners, they're just making huge, huge cuts. Does it ever look good to you? I mean, honestly. You probably don't even think about it, but now that you do all this stuff, you're like, really? You couldn't take like 3 extra seconds and make it look like something? Okay? So we usually cut straight into the middle. The core is inedible. It's like very, very fibrous. It's basically like a fingernail. Okay? So we cut it into quarters, right? We come at an angle. We just cut the core right out. What can we use this for? Syrups. If you have a juicer, you juice this. You get really, really great pineapple juice out of that. Okay? Or this could be, again, send it to the bar. They could use this as like a stir stick for a cocktail. No big deal. Okay? So, you come through, or if you had like a ring cutter, you can cut it like so. Now I'll probably just show it to you, so I'll just show you. While you guys are working, I'm going to do some really advanced stuff. Okay? So, we cut the core out, we set it aside, and we go to business, right? We go to do our work. Now, you're not unused to seeing this, the big trapezoid of pineapple, okay? But why can't we come through and actually make it round? Is there a law that says pineapple has to be trapezoid?
Sure.
Do you think it means more when you actually took the time to make it a nice rounded appearance? I think so. Okay? So, pineapple. This is the usable part of the pineapple. We call this planks. So if someone ever says, I need planks of pineapple, that's what they mean. This, the whole thing. Okay? When you see what I do, you'll understand why. Now, the other way to break down a pineapple, and you have to have like really good knife skills for this, and a sharp knife, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. My knife's pretty dull. But if I want it round, okay, cut the whole thing. I even have a nice little teardrop shape, right, if I want to. But the risk is I left a lot of flesh on there, okay? So you have to have a really sharp knife. It's best with fresh, like really mature pineapples. That way we can get in there and get all that stuff easily. Because when I open it up, you see how the flesh starts cracking? It's because it's too young, okay? It's not as soft as it could be. But, again, I come in, I get all this, I juice it, I turn it into pudding, I turn it into the very famous Dole Whip. Right, Jana? Yeah, Dole Whip. She knows what I'm talking about. Okay? Dole Whip is like a special type of ice cream that they make at the Dole Plantation. It's like legendary. I'm pretty sure I know how to make it, but it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I'll just let them keep doing it. But it is like stupid good. Okay? Now, what do we know about the texture of pineapple?
Fibrous.
It's very fibrous, right? When you bite into it, it has that crunch, and then you can feel the individual fibers, right? So we have to kind of keep that in mind as we serve it. Would I serve this in a very raw mango? No, because mango is crazy fibrous, right? You guys know that. You've seen it. When it's great, it's great. When it's like too young, it's like chewing on bamboo. It's just too fibrous. And this one's relatively young. Okay, now mango has a giant seed that runs not typically through the middle, but inside of it. Okay? So a lot of times, again, hopefully you'll be working with a mango that's so like ripe that you can't use a peeler. This one I could use a peeler, right? But hopefully you'll use one that you can't. So we just come through, take the skin right off of there. Now, does this look like the color of a mango you guys have seen? No, it's very yellow, right? Okay, a great mango, the outside should be red, right? It should be like super bright red. It should be maybe a little brown in a couple spots, and the inside should be very orange, basically like this papaya is now. Okay? But, say la vie. That's what happens when we start using the global pantry. Okay? So, best way to do it is put your knife down. Right? When you feel the seed, just start cutting around it. Okay, the closer you are to the seed, the more fibrous it's going to be. You'll feel like little hairs on it. That's why I don't feel it. You'll feel the hairs. Okay, but mango is also very slimy. Okay, so we can't just like turbo this. Okay, we have to make sure to go nice and slow and controlled. Now, one of my favorite things to do with mango is to cure it. Not like when you play your video games and someone's about to die, but cure it as in a salt and sugar mixture. That way it absorbs a ton of different flavor, and it kind of protects the fruit itself. That way it won't oxidize. Okay? So if we submerge it in salt and sugar for a couple days and cure it, lasts a very long time, super delicious. Okay? All of this is seed. Right? It's a big seed. Okay? I can peel all the flesh off if I wanted to. Usually if we really want this, we'll just boil it in water, and then we'll create some kind of like mango juice thing. But there's not a lot of flavor in there, so usually we're like, it sucks, but so be it, right? Okay? So that's how we start breaking down our mango. Now the good news about mango is it's very smooth. Even though it's fibrous, it's a very smooth thing. So I can get a lot of movement on my plate because mango will kind of do whatever I want it to. You just set it on the table. Thank you. Right? Tons and tons of movement. It's the same knife cut that you guys do all day long. Okay, if it's really ripe and I cut it long enough, I can tie it in a little knot, which looks pretty awesome on a fresh fruit tart. Okay, so don't ever be afraid. Again, fresh fruit on a plate is one thing, but taking a second and turning it into something nice is a completely different ballgame, right?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so avocado. we all basically know avocado, right? Especially in this part of the world. If the seed is out, it means that it's very close to being done. If you have to pull the seed and it's soft, it means that it's pretty much dead on. Okay, we typically put our knife in, turn it around. Okay, twist. Beautiful, right? Take our knife, twist, out comes the seed. Okay, the seed will keep it from oxidizing. Like if you make tons of guacamole, oil will, salt will, citrus will, and so will the seed. Okay. Now what you see is a lot of people cut it inside of there. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. I like to take mine out and then cut it. Okay, because then I can actually get a real size on it. We don't actually know how tall this is until it comes out. And I would recommend a much larger spoon and not plastic. That's okay. Okay, what can I do with this? This is how we taste to see how it is. Right? Never eat the usable product if you can eat this. Make sense? Now, what do we know about avocados and dessert? Not much, right? If you blend avocados and chocolate, it turns into mousse like right away. So it's vegan chocolate mousse. Done. See? No problem at all. Okay, if we combine it with silken tofu, it gets even creamier, even more moussey, and it's still vegan. Okay, that's why we got to start knowing this stuff. The good thing about avocado is we can just kind of move our knife through it. No problem. But by doing that, right, I actually have something closer to cubes instead of just giant shavings. Now, I love giant shavings on tacos and things, but when I need it for, salsa or guacamole, right, now that you guys can peel your tomatoes and you know how to actually small dice everything, you should small dice everything. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to leave that there for my breakfast. Delicious. Now, the apple. You will tornado the apple, and it's going to be super fun. Okay, because the apple, unlike your potato, will break. Okay, if you're not careful, you'll break your apple. Okay, so if you try to make like quick adjustments, you're just going to snap the apple right now. So be ready. Okay, but what I like to do, okay, I'll show you this one now, and I'll revisit it later. But what I like to do, just for the whole crowning glory of a fruit plate, and usually I use much more exotic fruits than this, right? But super, super easy technique. You have to use an apple. You basically have to keep the skin on. And as long as it's moist enough, and you know which way it moves, okay? I've done it all the way around the whole nother fruit. It takes a lot of time, but it's totally worth it. So when someone orders a fruit plate, yes, you can put boring raw fruit on a plate, but it better not look boring. Okay? Yeah, it's just an apple. It's not even a good apple. It's a Red Delicious. You might love those. They're not the best. Okay? But if you do that on the plate, suddenly we're getting somewhere, right? Yeah. Suddenly we're having a conversation. Then I have like some beautiful brunoise of something cascading down. A little bit of sauce on the plate, scoop of ice cream. Right? Another thing I love to do with this little technique, I like to serve it like so. Okay, that way it looks like it's going up. I will literally put what's called a cannelle, that's where we scoop ice cream to look like an egg, right inside of the apple. That way it's held off the plate. Okay, as long as it doesn't melt, it looks impressive, right? That way you can charge $20 for a fruit plate. I mean, you have to charge $20 for a fruit plate because it's so expensive. Do you have any idea how much papaya costs? Stuff's not free, I can promise you that, right? When you go to the grocery store and you buy a fresh fruit tart and you're like, oh, it's blueberries and strawberries and blah, blah, blah. Those are crazy expensive. Especially if they have kiwis or mango or anything like exotic, very, very expensive. Okay, so instead of just being like, hey, here's your berries in a bowl, have a good day. I didn't even wash them or glaze them or anything, bye, right? Make it nice, okay? This, okay, when I was coming up, this is how pastry proved their knife skills. Okay, we didn't have vegetables to break down to go on our dishes. Yeah, we would dice apples for like beggars' purses and stuff, but this, like if somebody's like, I want a fruit plate, chef would suddenly be like, all right, make a fruit plate. Let's see what you've got. You have an hour, because we always knew ahead of time. You have an hour to make the most amazing fruit plate I've ever seen. Okay, so you can see the evolution for me. It was like triangles of this and squares of that and whatever. And then I would start cutting batanes and stack them up like little houses, not like but like stack them, right? Then I would start cutting circles. My favorite is a fig. I'm going to draw this because we don't have a fig. Okay? But we need to start being more excited about the concept of a fruit plate, because I think cheese and fruit are have the highest potential for creativity and success. But everybody's like, just put cheese on the plate. Just put fruit on the plate. It's such bullshit. Like, we have so much room for excitement and creativity. Okay, so we've all seen a fig, right? It's the basic shape of a fig. Much like a Hershey Kiss, right? Okay, so figs usually come out this time of year to Thanksgiving-ish. Okay, especially if you get big brown turkey figs, they're huge. I mean, I can't really find something to compare it to. They're about half the size of the avocado. Okay, so they're big, right? Now let's say we take a pear, because I love the flavors, and hey, it's almost the same shape. And let's say we put a perfect small dice on our pear. Is everybody with me so far? So I got small dice and I've just got a fig. If I cut my fig like this, but I put it together like this, suddenly it looks like a Christmas tree. Right? I can literally make a whole little landscape with this kind of stuff. Okay? Yeah, it's a little cheesy, but it beats the hell out of, hey, here's some blueberries in a bowl. We ran out of blackberries. Sorry. Right? They aren't washed, they aren't glazed, there's no seasoning, there's nothing. We gotta really take this to another level. If somebody ever orders a fruit plate, and if you ever see me walk into a restaurant that you work in, you better know I'm gonna ask you to make one. Okay? Because this is where you show me your knife skills, this is where you show me your creativity. Because if it literally is a bunch of fruit on a plate, like literally a monkey can do that. If I said fruit plate, what do you think of fruit plate? Like, no, that doesn't take any professional skill. But if we make a couple fruit sauces, a fruit jelly, maybe a candy, maybe a fruit sorbet, maybe something like that, and then we keep it that way, nice. Now, here's the other piece of that. I'm a very, very firm believer that if somebody orders a fruit plate, that's them politely trying not to order something with dairy or gluten. So I would avoid both of those on your plate if you can. Right? Don't make this beautiful fruit plate and then put vanilla bean ice cream right in the middle of it. Chances are the customer didn't want to say, I'm lactose intolerant, so they just politely ordered a fruit plate. I know it's stupid as far as we're concerned, but people don't want to be a bother. Right? So they're like, can I just have a fruit plate? Right? If they wanted berries and cream, they would have said berries and cream. Okay, likewise, when someone says a berry plate, tread lightly, okay? Most people mean fruit, some people literally mean berries. Oh, I'm sorry, this apple is not a berry. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were a horticulturalist. Okay, right? Back to work. Okay, so what do we think? A lot of room for excitement?
Yes.
All right, you guys are already at tables. That's your team, okay?